Thanks, everybody, for watching. Ed Albert here with FOX43. My pleasure to introduce joining us here as part of the Tegna Locked On partnership, Ethan Smith, Locked On Pirates. Ethan, thanks for being with us today.
Yeah, of course, man. It's opening day of baseball. I mean, can't be more amped up than that, right? And we also got some great news today that we'll talk about later, obviously. But man, it's been a pretty interesting couple of months. 6 months ago, we saw the last play of the 2021 season. I didn't think we were going to be here based on how the CBA was going, but we're here now, and I'm ready, man. I'm ready.
Yeah, glad that they're not playing this game in Pittsburgh today. They're out in St. Louis, so the game can actually get played because we're obviously soggy here in Pennsylvania. A lot of other games got rained out. So, but that's right where I want to start with you, Ethan. Opening day excitement. It's the one day of the year where I know I can come in, say the Pirates are undefeated. Everybody's excited. Talk a little bit about how you're feeling coming into this year for the Buccos.
Like I say a lot on my podcast, it's a youth movement this year. You're going to see a lot of these younger guys that we've heard about for the last couple of years finally come up. We were hoping to see O'Neal Cruz on opening day, but obviously that didn't happen yet. But he will be up here at some point. We got a dose of Roansy Contreras last year as well. You're going to see him also at some point. Miguel Yajure, another guy who's actually on the MLB roster. I think we're going to get a heavy dose of him. Diego Castillo, who made the roster, had a very strong spring training, also made the roster as well. So I'm very excited, man. I think it's going to be a lot of fun stuff. And then you also have some of the new additions like Zach Thompson from the Jacob Stallings trade. I think he's going to be another phenomenal guy that you could look forward to. And you never know, maybe Travis Swaggerty and Kanan Smith and Jigba get the call up eventually in the outfield as well. So that's really what I'm looking forward to.
Yep. And that's the excitement. We got a lot of these young guys and, people are going to have to get behind them. You're going to find some new favorites to root for and, just hope that, they can progress and learn and be able to become major leaguers and get the Pirates back to some sort of winning form.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, I actually tweeted out today that I think they're going to be a 70-win baseball team this year. I think they're going to go right on the nose, 70 and 92. I've heard a lot of people think that they're going to lose 100 games again. I don't think people realize how hard it is to lose 100 games in back-to-back years. It's very difficult. But if this team stays mostly healthy throughout the year, I really think they have a good chance of winning about 70 to 72 games this year.
And Ethan, one of the big parts to them trying to avoid 100 loss season again is going to be that big news that you alluded to right when we started that we got just today. Brian Hayes signed to the largest contract in Pirates team history. It's got to give us at least a little bit of hope, that they're going to try to make the right moves here as we head into opening day today against the Cardinals.
Yeah, and it's a good step forward. They've been preaching the player-centric style of having a player-centric environment, and this is the way to do it. Brian Hayes, of course, he still has a ways to go. He's a very good baseball player defensively. He still has to get some of that offensive output going, but 8 years, $70 million, you have him locked up until 2030. That's the right move. I mean, it was just the right move through and through. You know who your third baseman of the future is now for the next half decade at least, probably, if he stays healthy. It's also nice to see him in the opening day lineup today after that mild ankle sprain that he suffered last week. But I just think it's a step in the right direction. And I would say Bryan Reynolds, try to figure out the same thing with him if you can, obviously on smaller years. I wouldn't see them taking Bryan Reynolds on an 8-year contract. He'd be about 36 by the time it's over with. But yeah, I mean, great step forward. I think this is what Pirates fans wanted. This is something we've been begging for a hot minute, to see a young player get paid rather than get traded, and we finally got it. So I think it's going to be a fun time for us, and I think Brian Hayes could also compete for a Gold Glove this year too.
That would be great to see. And you mentioned the next topic I want to get onto here, Bryan Reynolds. A lot of talk about, is he open in the trade market? Pirates say they're taking calls when you listen to the general manager talk. So, a lot of angst in the Pirates fan base right now because, we want to get some of these guys locked up. Reynolds seems like he wants to be in Pittsburgh. So, where do you see this situation moving forward as they try to figure it out? You had all the arbitration stuff. It's kind of murky waters. Where do you see this going?
Well, if he continues to play at the level he played in 2021, his value is only going to increase. And that's on the trade market and if you're trying to re-sign him. And I'd say trading him is probably out of the question here. I think they're just taking calls to see what they can hear. But when you still have 3 years of control on a guy, you're talking 3 top 100 prospects and an MLB ready player, more than likely to even have the Pirates talk about it. And Ben Cherington has even came out and stated that the arbitration hearing stuff didn't tarnish their relationship or anything. I would expect extension talks now that they have Brian Hayes locked up. That's kind of one domino that fell. Now I think they can kind of move forward and talk about that throughout the year. Would I expect it to get done throughout the year? Probably not. I think it would probably be more of a 2022, 2023 offseason kind of ordeal where I think he would either be traded or sign the extension. But I would say an extension is a lot more likely than a trade just because of the amount of capital a team is going to have to give the Pirates to get Bryan Reynolds.
Right. Right. Okay. So they did make a move, though. You have the injury to Greg Allen. They bring in a guy with, World Series ring and Jake Marisnick to talk about what do you see his involvement? How do you think he's going to step in and help this club after that injury to Allen?
Well, based off of the opening day lineup we got today, it appears that he's probably going to be a fourth outfielder, which I'm fine with. He's very solid defensively. His glove plays very well out there in the outfield. He could play all three outfield spots, just depending on if injuries happen or if they want to switch things up out there. Of course, his bat's not that great. It's nothing to write home about, but you never know. If he catches fire there, you're looking at a very good two-way player that you can have in the outfield at any point this year. And I think that's a very good thing that the Pirates have needed. We've been talking about outfield depth being an issue. Of course, we saw last year with Kai Tom and Dustin Fowler. I don't think any Pirates fan really wants to remember that. But Jake Marisnick, he at least gives you that elite defensive play that you really need in the outfield. And I think a Gamble, Marisnick, Reynolds outfield is very solid defensively as well. So really, solid defensive outfielder. He'll probably get you a hit here and there, but a solid pickup, I think. He's always been on my radar as a guy I would have liked the Pirates to sign, and then they finally did anyways.
All right, so now we got to go and talk about the arms. We got JT Brubaker taking the mound today as your opening day starter. Tell me about your thoughts on this rotation that they've put together and what you can see this group doing this year.
I mean, it's going to definitely be a fluid rotation. I think you're going to see this first like five guys, which I believe is in order: Brubaker, Thompson, Keller, Wilson, and Katana. You're going to see those guys probably get like the normal starter reps that you would see at the beginning of the year. But when you have guys like Miguel Yajure, Roenzi Contreras, and even some other guys who could possibly surprise, like Max Kranick, Chase DeYoung, those kind of guys who could come up, I think it's going to be a ever-changing revolving door. But I also think the pitching is going to improve because of that, because they have way more options this year. We saw with Brubaker, who's going to pitch in the opening day game last year. He got off to a great start, and then just his arm just fell apart because of the shortened 2020 year. I don't think that's going to happen this year. They have a lot more depth at the pitching position. I mean, you look at even the bullpen. You have Heath Hembry, David Bednar, Chris Stratton, Anthony Banda. A lot of Dwayne Underwood Jr. is returning as well. So they have a lot of different pitchers and a lot of different arms to look forward to. I'm not saying they're going to take an exponential jump forward, but I do think that they will improve based off of last year, because when you have a combined team ERA above 5, really the only way you can go is up.
That's right. That's right. All right. And so it all boils down to, and you mentioned it a little bit here, but we'll go back to it. What can we predict for this season? I'm kind of in line with you. I don't see them losing 100 games again this year. I think, we're probably looking at, maybe like a 64, 65 win type year. But where are you predicting this team to end up at, when we get to September?
I would say probably again in that 65 to 70 win range. I think that's like the perfect spot for them. You're going to have this infusion of youth, like O'Neal Cruz, like Roenzi Contreras. Diego Castillo will make his impacts. Maybe even Rodolfo Castro makes some impacts here again as well. And I just think it's going to be very fun to watch. I mean, of course, the wins and losses as of right now in a rebuild don't really mean that much. It's more about the player development, and you're going to get a heavy dose of player development this year. I think we're going to see different approaches from Derek Shelton on how he manages games with these young guys. I think the lineup card is going to be different almost every day. And there's nothing wrong with that, because these guys have to get at bats. And if the bat plays, they're going to play. I mean, that's how Diego Castillo got to the MLB roster in the first place. So I'd say 65 to 70 wins. And depending on how the Cincinnati Reds do, maybe the Pirates don't finish last in the division this year. We'll see. Or maybe we're pleasantly surprised and they do win more than 70 games. Realistically, anything that's positive heading out of this year, going into 2023, where I think is the first year where the Pirates can be respectable again, I'm going to be excited either way. I think there's going to be a lot of fun stuff to talk about throughout this year.
All right. I love to hear it. A building year, but, still have that excitement. We're getting out onto the field and, let's hope for a Buccos win today. All right. Ethan Smith, he's with Locked On Pirates. Ethan, tell me about where people can find you. How can they engage with you? Tell me about where your podcast can be found every day.
Yeah, so you guys can follow me on Twitter at MVP_Ethan and at Locked On Pirates, of course. You can also find this podcast anywhere you get your podcast. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Odyssey, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, you name it. It's there, Megaphone, Stitcher. You can find it anywhere. We're posting Monday through Friday through the month of December. So we're going to be having Pirates content 5 days a week, covering everything that's going on. I have plenty of fun guests on the podcast all the time as well. So come on by, come engage with me on Twitter. I'm always on the Twitter machine, so make sure you guys are there with me.
Awesome. Ethan, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us here with Fox 43. I'm Ed Albert. You can find me on Twitter at ealbert410. That's all we got for now. Stay tuned. Fox 43 will be bringing you a lot more of this podcasting. We'll be following some other MLB teams through this Locked On partnership. So stick it here on fox43.com. Until then, let's go Bucks.
Let's go Bucks, baby.